Hello everyone, my name's Kate and I'm here at the Eastside Freedom Library in St. Paul, Minnesota. And I have 3 stories that I'm going to read to you today. And if the adult who helped you get onto this channel is still around, this might be interesting to them. I have 3 books from a press called Flamingo Rampant, and you can find them at flamingorampant.com. Flamingo Rampant is a micro press with a mission to produce feminist, racially diverse, LGBTQ positive children's books in an effort to bring visibility and positivity to the reading landscape of children everywhere. We make books that kids love and love them right back, bedtime stories for beautiful dreams, and books that let children say, of all kinds, say with pride, that kid's just like me. So I've got 3 books from the Flamingo Rampant Press to share with you today. So the first one's called Casey's Ball, and it's written by Kit Young. I'm Casey, and I'm joining a soccer team today. I used to be on the girls' team, and my uniform was blue, but now that everyone knows I'm a boy, I'm switching to the boys' team and getting this new green one instead. I've been practicing. I'm learning to run faster. I'm learning to kick farther. And one day, I am going to score a goal. Every day after school, I practice in my yard. Sometimes my brother and sister help me kick the ball back and forth. I can't kick the ball very far yet, but I'm getting better. At soccer practice, we line up and take turns kicking the ball in the goal. I've been trying my best to get a goal, but I fall a lot when I use my mightiest kick. When the ball comes to me during the game, I kick as hard as I can. But sometimes my hair gets in my eyes, and when it does, I miss the ball and someone else kicks it. But I know I can get a goal if I try my best, so I back up and kick again. My sister gives me her hair tie so I can see the ball. My mom tells me ponytails are for any kid, boys or girls, neither or both. I run my hardest, I run my fastest. And when I see the ball, I kick so hard and I get a goal. But, oh no, I scored into our own goal. Oh gosh, I scored it against my own team. The other team gets the point and we lose the game because of me. See, this is the score, 5-6. I ask my coach if I can still be on the boys' team. He says, keep trying and learning. You're doing great, Casey. We're glad to have you on the team. And after the game, everyone still cheers. We're the Great Green Lizards and we love to play. We're the Great Green Lizards and today is our day. I was worried, but no one is mad at me that we lost the game. My family gives me hugs and both teams line up to high-five each other. All the kids and families go to the pizza shop to celebrate the game, and we eat pizza and ice cream. My brother says, Casey, you played with all your heart, and my sister says, baby brother, you kicked like a champion. I can't wait to play soccer again. I love my new green uniform with my new name on it, and I love my new teammates. Soccer's fun, and being on a team is the best part. At the pizza shop, we do our team cheer one more time. Will you say it with me? We're the Great Green Lizards and we love to play. We're the Great Green Lizards and today is our day. That actually happened to me once when I was maybe in 3rd grade. I was so excited. I was the only girl on the boys' baseball team and I got a hit when I was up at bat and I accidentally ran to 3rd base, which is not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to run to 1st base, but I ran to 3rd base because I just got confused in the moment. So it happens. Sometimes you score on your own goal. Sometimes you run to the wrong base, but you can still get up and keep trying. It's the only way that you'll get better. And maybe you won't get better. Maybe you're not good at baseball. I wasn't that good at baseball. So I found other things I was good at. Okay, The Great Space Adventure is the next book that I have, written by Ryka Aoki. Nandi, why don't we cut your hair? But Nandi liked their long hair. Nandi, why don't we let your hair grow? But Nandi liked their short hair. Nandi, why do you like to be different? But Nandi didn't like to be different. Nandi liked to be Nandi. Nandi liked to dance. Nandi liked to read. Nandi liked to twirl and be big. Nandi liked to hide and be small. And Nandi liked the moon, for the moon never asked, "Nandi?" The moon would be dark and then crescent, grow full and then back again. On some nights, the moon seemed almost still. On others, the moon would wander across the sky. Every night, Nandi wished to meet the moon, and one night, the moon wished to meet Nandi back. That night, Nandi woke up, and before them was the moon. "Let's go on an adventure," the moon said. And Nandi's bed slipped into the moonlight. Upward they went, upward through the sky. With the moonlight, they floated through their window, past rooftops, trees, and clouds, until they met a dusty, reddish planet. He saw Nandi and said, "We are much alike. We're collectors. I collect rocks that fall from the sky. I've kept some for over 4 billion years. Each has its own story, and there are still more stories to find." Nandi searched with this quiet planet, for they were much alike indeed. Outward they went, outward, past asteroids of many sizes and shapes, until they met a great and colorful planet. She saw Nandi and said, "Yes, we are very much alike. We love brightness and colors and being fabulous. I'm red and orange and white and yellow with a twirl like a dancer. I also wear a necklace made of storms." Nandi twirled this fabulous planet, for they were much alike indeed, and onward they went. Outward, until they met a planet with giant rings. On his head was a storm with 6 equal sides. And they saw Nandi and said, "Yes, we're very much alike. People think we're peculiar. They ask why I have these rings, why I weigh so little, why a hexagon covers my head. But I don't need to explain because I am just me." Nandi listened to this not-so-peculiar planet, for they were very much alike indeed, and onward they went. Outward, until they met a rolling blue-green planet. He saw Nandi and said, "Yes, we're very much alike. We want to move. And I had an accident not long ago, but now I roll and slide. I even roll backwards, and my rings are like racing stripes. Aren't they cool?" Nandi raced with this rolling planet, for they were very much alike indeed, and outward they went. Outward, until they met a faraway planet, blue and cold. They saw Nandi and said, "Yes, we are much alike. We're travelers. When I was young, I was thrown from my home. At first I was lonely, but I've made friends that twirl and tumble, sparkle and spin. Wherever I go, I'm never alone." Nandi befriended this traveling planet, for they were very much alike indeed. Nandi wanted to go further, for there was so much more. But then Nandi yawned. The moon nudged Nandi. "It's time to go back." So inward they went, toward a tiny light. Inward toward a tiny light that grew larger and larger until they met the sun. The star looked at Nandi and said, "I see you're visiting my children. Aren't they precious? Each is different, yet I hold them all dear." Nandi was grateful to the sun, for the star held Nandi dear as well. And then away from the sun they went, away until they met a fast and tiny planet. Nandi said hello, but she darted behind the sun. "That one is playful, but shy, and she loves being close to home," said the moon. Nandi darted about with the shy little planet, for they were very much alike indeed. Away from the sun they went, away, until they met a bright planet with neither colors nor rings, and she said nothing, for she was fast asleep. Nandi watched her, glowing in the sun's light, safely wrapped within a blanket of clouds. Nandi wrapped themselves in their blanket and closed their eyes with the sleeping planet, for they were very much alike indeed. Away from the sun they went, away, until they met the planet of Nandi's home, and Nandi's bed slipped into the moonlight. Down they went, downward through the sky with the moonlight. They floated past clouds, trees, rooftops, through their window until they came to rest inside. Nandi thanked the moon, and the moon thanked Nandi back. Nandi dreamed of their adventures, of the planets they met, quiet, fabulous, not so peculiar, rolling, traveling, circling around the sun, shy and asleep. And Nandi loved them all, for they were all very much alike indeed. Okay, the third book I have for you today is called Bridge of Flowers, and it's written by Leah Lakshmi. I'm quiet and I listen to things, and that's why I'm the one telling this story. So this is what happened. My mom, Soraya, is a witch, which mostly means she listens to people talk about their problems, and then she makes them potions out of flowers, dirt, spit, rocks, and good thoughts to help them feel better. My papa, Kamu, is a scientist. They spend a lot of time looking at tiny pieces of moss through different microscopes. When my mom and papa fell in love, they planted 2 trees, one for each of them, and then they planted them close but far, so they could be next to each other, but still have room to grow. Soraya did a magic spell, and Kamu put down a lot of fertilizer, and the trees grew really big, really fast. And that's because, they told us later, magic and science are different versions of the same thing. The thing was, they loved each other, but they didn't really like living together. Mom would spill lipstick and crystals and baking grease all over everything, and Papa wanted things to get wiped down clean all the time because otherwise baking grease got into their experiments. When they fought, Mom said baking grease and lipstick are magic, and Papa said yes, but so is a clean counter. So they stopped living together. Mom said, you can love someone, and they can also really get on your nerves. They wove this bridge so we could always be close to each other, but go away when we needed to. There's jasmine, sunflowers, moonflowers, some wild roses, cacti, that's where we got Agnes came from, and a little yellow wildflower I don't know the name of. When my older sibling Kumar got older, they made a skateboard ramp off of it because skateboarding is all they ever want to do. They flipped a lot of ollies off the bridge to the ramp on the ground and then came back up and did it again. I mostly stay inside and write in my journal and dream because sometimes the outside's too much, even if it's full of flowers. Sometimes I just sit in the middle of the bridge and listen, especially when it's the middle of the night and everything's quiet and breathing. I'm quiet and breathing too. A couple years ago, the world got extra stressful. More and more people kept calling Mom for help, and she kept picking more and more flowers from the vines for her potions to keep people okay. Papa kept picking a few more mosses and lichen off the bridge every day for their experiments on how to make the air better. One day we went outside and the bridge had fallen apart because they picked it too much. Our parents were kind of frozen and then said, ugh, we'll deal with it later, and went back to work because that's what parents do sometimes when things are too much. They got in a big fight about whose fault it was and wouldn't talk to each other. And without the bridge, we had to go all the way down to the ramp and then all the way up the elevator, and it was annoying. And a lot of people would say, Soraya has a ramp and Kamu has an elevator, so why do they need a bridge? But me and Kumar disagreed. We wanted to go back and forth easy, like if they left their backpack, or I forgot Agnes, or we needed another parent to come right away. Also, the bridge was just beautiful. Our parents weren't talking, so I stayed up and looked at the stars and talked to Agnes about this. This is Agnes, the cactus. Kumar was off with whoever they hung out with on their phone, and the days went by. I don't always get along with Kumar, but we both agreed this was ridiculous and we had to do something. And people think that people who are quiet don't have magic like people who are always talking about it, but they are very wrong. So I snuck into Soraya's cabinet, the one she never locks because she trusts us, and I got some of her charmed honey, some gardenias, and moonflower seeds, and some magic dirt. Kumar went into Kamu's lab and gathered some spores of lipstick lichen and usnea, and then I wasn't sure what to do next. But I held the seeds and dirt and honey in my hand and whispered to Agnes for good luck. And then we put our hands together and thought really hard about what we wanted. When we opened them, we could see that the bridge had grown back. But also, it hadn't just grown back between our houses. See, there's all these different locations that the bridge had grown between. When we went to wake up our folks, but they were up. They hadn't been able to sleep and were working on saving the world. Mom put down her tinctures, Papa put down their slides, and they went to come see, and it was good. It turns out that even though I'm quiet, I have magic too, or maybe I have magic because I'm quiet. Because it's wonderful to live apart, but also good to be able to go and see the people you love. And sometimes when you don't think you know what you're doing, it's when you are the most magic. So that's a nice story about a kid who's able to use their thoughts and their magic and their imagination to make something better, which is great, and it works out in this story, but it doesn't always work. So you might try your hardest to use magic when there's something happening that you don't like or isn't working for you, and it might still keep happening. And you can just talk to adults who love you and friends about that. So I don't want you to be discouraged if you try to use magic and you're not able to. But I think the other thing that I like about this story is it's about a little kid who's quiet. And sometimes kids are really loud, and sometimes kids have quiet voices, and it's okay to be either way. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope to see you next time.